Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's CITI program webinar. Today's topic is the process of publishing a scientific paper, and it is presented by Dr. Michael Malek-Ahmadi. Now, let me tell you about today's presenter. Mike is a bioinformatics scientist at the Banner Alzheimer's Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. He earned a BS from the University of Arizona, a MS from the University of South Florida, and a PhD from the University of Westminster. He has worked in the field of Alzheimer's disease research since 2003 and is an author on over 70 peer-reviewed journal articles in the areas of Alzheimer's disease, mild cognitive impairment, and normal aging. Mike's current work at the Banner Alzheimer's Institute focuses on identifying and characterizing preclinical Alzheimer's disease using clinical, cognitive, neuroimaging, and neuropathological data.
So today with the learning objectives, what I'd like to do is just to very briefly go over these. So the first one is that we will describe the process and considerations for publishing a paper, and we'll go over things such as authorship, journal selection, manuscript preparation, peer review, manuscript revision, and finally what happens when a paper is accepted. We'll also discuss the importance of publishing for career advancement and scientific progress. And finally, we'll discuss a few considerations regarding being a peer reviewer and reviewing papers for journals. So how do we actually measure scientific productivity through publications? Well, the first one is, really the most obvious one in that we can, simply, measure the number of publications that an author has produced. Another good way is the number of citations. So this is a little bit more informative because it tells us, how impactful an individual's research is. But this can be somewhat misleading if there are several self-citations. So it's very common that as an investigator builds their body of work, they cite their previous work in, the next iteration of papers that they publish. So self-citations, can often provide a somewhat misleading estimation of a journal article's impact. So there's a relatively new metric referred to as the H-index. And this is a very common tool that is now used to measure the individual impact of an investigator. This is simply a way to account for the number of times a paper has been cited, but also with the number of papers that author has published themselves. And there are different ways to calculate the H-index. In particular, there is one way that accounts for self-citations.
In addition, I invite everyone to review our content offerings regularly, as we are continually adding new courses and webinars that may be of interest to you all.